โมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังธัมมังสังฆังนะมัสสามิ Blessings, good evening. Because this is the new moon day, we just chanted the Paritas, verses of protection. Many of which are the direct words of the Buddha, so by reciting them links us right back to the Buddha and his teachings. And one of the verses that comes up often is just, by the power of this truth, may I be protected, or just by the power of this truth in different circumstances, may this truth, the power of the truth, give rise to good causes and conditions and so on. As they say, the Buddha always spoke the truth. Not always easy to receive for the listener, because some truths we don't want to hear. Nobody likes to hear the truth that, something like, say, life is impermanent. Everybody is subject to aging, sickness and death. That's the truth, but we don't like to hear it, we don't like to think about it. But the words of the Buddha are always pointing to the truth, and that's why they have a certain power to them. Sometimes another verse we chant, by the power of all these good actions I do, may all obstacles be overcome. So the truth, when we bring our mind to see the truth, recollect the truth, be mindful of the truth, gives us a certain power, energy that helps us to face up to obstacles. So that's good on a night like this, new moon night, full moon night, when we stay up late to meditate. There'll be many obstacles if you stay up late, because practicing through the night, you obviously, number one, you have feelings of tiredness, the desire to lie down and sleep, which you're not going to follow. That's one obstacle. And often, when you practice continuously for many hours, then different moods, patterns of thought come up. Some a little bit more extreme than usual, or just different than usual. We're creatures of habit, so most people have their normal time when they go to bed. So if you change that, it will throw up different reactions in your mind, different moods. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes the effort you make to bring up mindfulness, practice for longer, will brighten your mind. You have a good experience. You realize you don't always have to give in to the desire to sleep. Your mind goes beyond the hindrance of sloth and torpor and brightens up. So a pleasant surprise. And then some of the surprises are not so pleasant. Some people become very irritated when they don't get the sleep they normally crave. And they may take that irritation out on themselves, just be grumbling and thinking a lot of negative thoughts, sometimes take it out on other people. A lot of aversion comes up directed towards other people. When we're in a negative mood, we tend to remember things that annoy us, focus on them. So it can go either way. You can have the surprise of a very wholesome, bright state of mind. You can even have the surprise of samadhi, the mind settling down, becoming calm, peaceful. The feelings of tiredness drop away, all the aversion and the agitation of mind drops away. Or sometimes goes the other way, and we have the surprise of a very negative, dark, dull, or unhappy state of mind. And sometimes it's just moving between the two, isn't it? One moment very peaceful, next moment very agitated. But most people find it's an experience when you practice late into the night. It's an experience you learn from. You learn new things about yourself and about the practice. The night time is a very good time to practice meditation because it's quiet. The world's business, most of the world's business in your immediate world anyway, is finished. It's dark, it's quiet. So it's a suitable time to put effort into meditation. Less distractions. You're not going to, normally speaking, you're not going to go traveling or shopping or go to work late at night. So then you can set aside everything and just focus on the Dhamma. Ajahn Chah used to encourage us to practice and make the night the same as the day and the day the same as the night. Often our conditioning is, certain times of day you behave in a certain way. Just because it's that time of day and you say, it's late at night, I should feel tired, I should go to sleep. Or when it's your regular meal time, you say, I'm hungry, I should eat food. Just out of habit. Sometimes you do feel hungry, but sometimes maybe you don't. Sometimes you feel sleepy and need to sleep, sometimes you don't. It's not always the same, is it? But it's the habits that we get into often close us off to that more refined awareness of the truth. Sometimes just the ideas you put in your own head, you say, it's late at night, I can't practice, I'm tired. Well, that already undermines any kind of effort you're going to put into your meditation. It's like you've given yourself permission to not try. You say, it's late and I'm tired, I can't do it. Especially if you've been up all day. So you've been up all day and then you come to meditate late at night. You say, I'm tired, I can't do it. But if you really put effort into establishing mindfulness on an object, such as the breath, or the recitation of Buddha, or any of the other wholesome meditation objects, maybe you can overcome all the feelings of tiredness and your mind goes into a very still, bright, mindful state. And you realize, it was all just thinking. Those thoughts that said, I can't do it, it's too late, or I'm too tired, I've been up all day doing this, doing that, I've got no energy left. These are just words which may be triggered by certain feelings in the body, certain memories, but they may also be words that you can discard, let go of, ignore. And then you realize how often we're just following our moods, following the patterns of thought that aren't necessarily true. Sometimes we have our own attachments. We say, oh, I need my 8 hours sleep. If I don't get my 8 hours, then I'm no good. But maybe it's not true. Maybe that's just an attachment, something you've picked up along the way. And there may be times when you just get 6 hours sleep, or 5 hours sleep, or 7 hours sleep, and you're fine. Same with food, isn't it? You say, I need my food. If I don't get my meal, then I'll have no energy. I can't do anything. But sometimes we can go without a meal and we're fine. We forget all about it. We often limit ourselves by the things we believe in, the ideas we hold to. And they may be based in some truth, but they're not absolutely true. They're just an opinion or a habit of mind. So when you practice for longer periods, put effort into sitting, walking, meditation for longer periods, you often see through many of the different opinions and views and beliefs that come up into your mind. You say, well, it's an opinion, but it's just based on one memory, one set of thinking, and sometimes it's your own actions prove it to be wrong, or just see that it doesn't apply here. So it's just an opinion. Nothing wrong with holding to opinions and views about things, but you also have to know that they're impermanent. They can change. Like the thought, I can't meditate, or I can't do this, I can't do that. Sometimes you have to tell yourself, well, what if I can do it? Like people as well. Sometimes you say, I can't be with this person, they're too annoying. Well, maybe you can. Sometimes you have to turn around your own opinion on it, turn it on its head, upside down, and say, well, what if I can do it? I can be with that person that annoys me. Or some activity that you don't like. What if I do that activity? Will it kill me? It won't kill you. Sometimes our mind is our biggest limitation. We just believe a thought and don't see it, it's just a thought, and don't see beyond it. They say the mind of an arahant can control thoughts, so they can choose to think or not to think. People always ask, they say, when the Buddha was not teaching, what was he doing with his mind? They say a lot of the time the Buddha was in the dwelling place of the mind, what we call vihara dhamma, just dwelling in peace, silence, not creating any thoughts or opinions or views about anything, just dwelling in peace. And then when there was a need, he had to consider something, teach somebody, make some decision, maybe the way he was living, where he was living, or where he was moving to. Then he'd think, use thought, make decisions, communicate to other people perhaps. But he could choose, because he had mastery, he had control over his mind. Some people say when you meditate, you've got to get rid of all your views, all your attachments to every opinion, every view, every idea. Maybe all you need is just to know it as an idea, as an opinion, is enough. You can pick it up, consider it, maybe it's correct, but maybe not. You keep an open mind. When you're more mindful, you can do that. You can accept your opinions, even ones that you might feel are stupid or wrong. Okay, I accept I've picked up this opinion, this way of thinking. You don't have to get angry with yourself, you just notice it. Oh, it's like this. You accept it, but you don't hold on to it, you let it go. If you watch your mind, say you practice meditation regularly, you watch your mind over a period of time, you'll notice you can pick up and put down knowledge, views and opinions, gradually change. Hopefully for the better, but not always. Sometimes we go downhill. But views and opinions, ideals, we can change. They're not fixed like from day one in our life through to now, wherever we are in our life right now. We've learned many things and we've maybe changed our opinions over the world, over what we believe in, what we see as right and wrong. So you reflect back on that, you realize a lot of our opinions, views, attitudes change depending on our experiences, new information, new things we learn. Meditators have noticed this. When you're new to meditation, you often have a view, I've got to make sure I'm in a perfectly quiet place, nobody disturbs me, nobody is making any noise around me, then I can meditate. So if you're in a quiet place, a noisy place, then before you've even tried to meditate, you have the thought, I can't meditate here, it's too noisy. Maybe you haven't even tried. When I was a young monk, I was in Thailand living in the forest, and then most of the time it was fairly quiet, but there were times, you live in the jungle in Thailand, you've got a lot of insect noise, animal, bird noise, sound of cars and things in the distance, and then sometimes they have festivals in the village with loud music. After a while I thought, it's actually more noisy here than I expected. I had to adjust my thinking. I thought I'd be living in the jungle, in the forest, and nothing would bother me. That was actually a lot of noise. Sometimes when you're camping in the jungle in Thailand, you meditate at a certain time of the day, like at dawn or at dusk in the evening. And the cicadas, these insects that flap their wings very fast to cool themselves down, they always start up a chorus at around sort of 6 p.m, 7 p.m. in the evening when it's getting dark. And if there's a few of them on a bush or a tree next to you, it can really deafen you. You might be meditating and there's just this heavy vibration and loud sound going right into your ear. It can be deafening, it can even be a little bit painful. You just have to learn to accept it. Otherwise you're sitting there averse, unhappy, angry. In one year I went to spend time in a monastery next to Bangkok International Airport. In those days it was swampland. Some of the Air Force officers offered Luang Por Chah some swampland and he sent Ajahn to live there. In the beginning, it's quite peaceful surroundings. Wasn't much happening around. It was just swampland. You could look out for several kilometres. There wouldn't be any buildings. It's just swamp with the odd tree. But you get a plane going over every few minutes because it was next to the airport. It was right on the flight path. So I went to stay there, and after a few days I realised, I'm going to be living with jet planes going overhead. How am I ever going to improve my samadhi, improve my meditation? So I asked Ajahn Piak, he said, I don't have any problems. I just focus on my meditation object. I don't bother listening to the planes. I thought, well that sounds correct. So I had to set aside my view that I can't meditate on the flight path of an international airport. It took a while, but I learnt it. Sometimes you have to learn to meditate next to a main road, next to an airport, in a jungle full of noisy birds or noisy insects. Just depends, doesn't it? Life is full of surprises. You have to set aside your view. Otherwise the view already limits you and creates suffering. Where do our views come from? Well, a lot of it's from past experience. What you like, you generally see as good, suitable for you. What you don't like, you pick up a view that that's not good for me, I don't like this. So if you meditate, you decided sound is an enemy, then wherever you go and there's loud noises, you'll straight away go to aversion. So if you turn it on its head, maybe you turn the view on its head, you say, oh, sound is my friend. I'm friends with sound. Sound is okay. The attitude starts to change. You can just accept the sound. Or maybe just your thoughts about yourself. Maybe you've just developed an opinion, I'm no good. I'm somebody with no merit, no good karma, no good qualities. I've got no samadhi, no insight. That's your default view of yourself. Maybe you have to turn it on your head and say, well, I do have some merit. I do have some samadhi. Challenge it. Don't just believe every view your mind picks up and holds on to. Views can change. You'll notice if you hold on to a view, even a view based on something correct, something good, but this holding on, it starts to get painful, doesn't it? Just like a physical object, if you hold on to a bag or a stick or something, after a while that gripping of that object, or probably nowadays the best thing to use would be a mobile phone, wouldn't it? If you grip a mobile phone long enough, it will start to become painful. Doesn't mean to say mobile phones are all bad. They certainly can be a distraction, but they can be quite useful to communicate. But if you grip it too hard for too long, it becomes a source of pain and suffering. Views and opinions are a bit like that. You hold on tightly to a view that may seem correct, but after a while it'll cause you suffering. Sometimes we have views about the right way to practice, maybe the technique of meditation. I'm one who meditates on the breath. Breath meditation is the best. So anyone who comes along and tries to tell you that there's another way to meditate, you say, no, they're wrong. Maybe you experience some displeasure with that person. Some people like walking meditation, they don't like sitting meditation. Some people like sitting meditation, they don't like walking meditation. In the lay life, it's the same, isn't it? You have your way of making food. Other people have their own recipe, their own style, but it's not the same as you. So theirs is wrong, you're right. Just because it's what you're used to, what you're happy with, that suits you, that view of that way of making food. I always remember the problem, the new wife trying to please her husband. She's trying to make the food he liked, and he was never satisfied because it was never like the food he got at home with his mum. So she went to ask the mother-in-law for the recipe so she could keep her husband happy. So from good intention, but the copyright on the recipe was so guarded, the mother-in-law wouldn't release it. She didn't want to let her daughter-in-law know the recipe because she was worried that her son would love the wife more than the mother. So she wouldn't let him know. Just a bit of knowledge that might have improved that marriage and that family situation, but no, jealously guarded. There's a right way to do it and the wrong way. So if you can keep the person doing the wrong way, then the other people around them won't be happy. I guess you could call that divide and rule. Same with dana. Buddhists do this with dana as well. They say, oh, there's somebody who's been doing dana for many years at the monastery. They know the best things to get, to offer to the monks. They know the best places to get them. And everything else is second best. They see someone else offer some dana, they say, no, they don't know the right way to do it. They don't know the right thing to buy. You know, whether it's robes and robe cloth, or food, or other items that monks use. Sometimes people guard their secrets, where to buy the right kind of cloth to make robes, and they won't tell anyone else. It's a form of stinginess. There's one thing the Buddha said, Sotapanna will give up that kind of stinginess. You know, when you're attached to your knowledge, attached to your family, attached to the way you do dana, whatever it is, that kind of attachment is a form of stinginess, isn't it? The Sotapanna will just give, so they'll give out the information freely. All those people who like to try and work out who's a Sotapanna, who's not, maybe they have to follow this one. Check up on the person you're trying to find out if they're a Sotapanna or not, see how stingy they are with their knowledge and their possessions and things. This is why you learn to let go, to accept things the way they are and learn to let go, because it makes the mind lighter, happier. When you hold on tightly, you're in pain, you suffer. Even to knowledge of the Dhamma. Again, the Buddha said, if you're practicing for liberation, you're not stingy with the Dhamma. You're willing to give advice to others, share knowledge with others. Holding on generally weighs your mind down, leads to more stress and suffering, more anger, more discontent. Letting go in different ways lightens the mind up, lightens the burden. And this is what we're learning from meditation, is how to let go, how to accept things. So even if you have accumulated a lot of negative opinions and views on things, you have to learn how to let them go, put them down. Let it be. So in other words, let things be. Don't get upset just because you have a certain negative thought arise in your mind or some kind of suffering. Don't blame yourself or blame someone else. Just accept it. Oh, it's like this. You can always learn from every mental experience, every mental state that arises, every feeling, pleasure, pain. All can be the food for insight and understanding. Some people seem to want to attach to neutral feelings and neutral experiences. They've had enough of the extremes of life. They don't want extreme pleasure, they don't want extreme pain and suffering. They want everything to be kind of neutral. They want the world to be a kind of numb place where nothing happens. Don't want anything bothering me at all, good or bad. Leave me alone. And they go into themselves, and of course, the way the world is, you're constantly being bombarded by sense impingement. Even in the quietest corner of this world, there'll still be sights, sound, taste, smell, touch. And they'll bring with them their accompanying feelings, some pleasant, some unpleasant, and some neither pleasant nor unpleasant, more neutral. Whatever you attach to and whatever you think is right for you, very quickly you'll be disappointed if you don't see the attachment. If you can see the attachment, you let go, you just release and say, oh, I'll just accept whatever comes, I'll just accept it. Things improve very quickly. That's why patience has such a useful quality as you practice meditation. You're learning to be patient with yourself, the feelings, the thoughts, the views, the opinions, the views and opinions of others, the views and opinions of yourself, just to be patient with it. Patience means keeping a wholesome state of mind, good state of mind as you experience things. When we suffer, it's because patience has gone and we are attaching in an unwholesome, unskillful way to whatever's coming up. If it's pleasure, we attach to that, well, we gives rise to craving and wanting, trying to hold on to it, get more of it, get better, intensify it. If it's pain, we try to get rid of it. And notice how when you're trying to get rid of pain, often you make more pain trying to get rid of pain. When we're patient, it gives the mind some space, some time to consider the experience and to maybe see it more as Dhamma rather than just react with attachment, aversion, desire. So a late night sit is a time to develop lots of patience. Keeping yourself awake, sitting, walking. If you haven't got to the point where you've walked into a wall or a tree, it probably means you haven't pushed yourself that much. As far as I know, most of the Kruba Ajahns and the people who become enlightened have pushed themselves sometimes to the point we just fall over with exhaustion. Lumpur Cha practiced until he fell over with exhaustion. Other teachers I know just been so exhausted they just collapsed. Maybe not every day, but once in a while. It's a sign they really push themselves. You haven't meditated until you've fallen over with exhaustion. We can fall over from other reasons, can't we? You can fall over drunk, we can fall over laughing, we can fall over through carelessness. Why can't we fall over through our exertions in meditation? So, there's a few thoughts on the practice of Dhamma for tonight. Maybe I'll leave the talk there, and in a moment, if there's any questions, I can answer them.